Welcome to Go Reading Bedtime Stories, presented by GoReadling.com, personalized education and reading skills for kids. Find a comfortable spot, close your eyes, take a slow, deep breath, and let our story carry you gently off to sleep. Tonight's story is called The Gingerbread Man.
Once upon a time, in a small, cozy farmhouse at the end of a quiet country lane, there lived a kind old woman and a kind old man. Their little house had a red front door, a stone chimney that puffed gentle curls of smoke into the sky, and a garden full of sunflowers that nodded in the breeze. The old woman loved to bake. She baked pies with golden, flaky crusts. She baked biscuits that melted on your tongue. She baked cakes so tall they nearly touched the ceiling. But her greatest love was making gingerbread. The smell of her gingerbread, warm and sweet, with cinnamon and ginger and brown sugar, would float out the kitchen window and drift across the whole countryside. Neighbors a mile away would sniff the air and smile. "The old woman is baking again," they would say. One cool autumn morning, the old woman decided to make something extra special. "I am going to bake a gingerbread man," she told her husband. "A perfect one, with raisin eyes and a sugar smile and little iced buttons down his front." The old man smiled. "That sounds wonderful, my dear." The old woman gathered her ingredients: flour as white as snow, brown sugar that crumbled like soft sand, butter as yellow as sunshine, dark, fragrant ginger, warm cinnamon, and sweet golden molasses. She mixed and measured and stirred and kneaded until the dough was smooth and perfect. Then she rolled it out on the floury counter and, using her favorite cookie cutter, carefully cut out the shape of a little man. She gave him 2 raisin eyes, a cheerful sugar icing smile, and 3 round icing buttons down his front. She even piped little icing shoes on his feet and a tiny bow tie under his chin. "There," she said, admiring her work. "You are the finest gingerbread man I have ever made." She gently placed him on her baking sheet and slid him into the warm oven. Then she sat down in her rocking chair by the window to wait, watching the autumn leaves drift lazily from the old oak tree in the front yard. The kitchen grew warm and fragrant. The smell of baking gingerbread filled every corner of the little house, sweet and spicy and absolutely delicious. The old man put down his newspaper and sniffed appreciatively. "Almost ready," the old woman said. She opened the oven door to check, and a rush of warm, gingery air washed over her face. The gingerbread man was golden brown and perfect. But as she reached in to take him out, something extraordinary happened. The gingerbread man's raisin eyes blinked. His sugar smile widened. His icing arms moved, then his icing legs, and before the old woman could say a word, the gingerbread man sat up on the baking sheet, swung his little legs over the edge, hopped down onto the kitchen floor, and ran straight for the open door. "Stop! Stop!" the old woman cried. "Come back!" But the gingerbread man just laughed, a high, tinkling, crumbly sort of laugh, and called out over his shoulder as he ran through the front door and down the lane. The old woman sat in her rocking chair, listening to the soft tick-tick of the kitchen clock and the gentle creak of the oven warming. Afternoon sunlight streamed through the lace curtains, casting delicate patterns on the stone floor. The old man dozed in his armchair by the fireplace, his newspaper open on his lap, his spectacles sliding down his nose. The kitchen was the heart of their home, a room filled with warmth towards the center and memories on every shelf. A row of cookbooks stood propped against the wall, their spines cracked and stained from decades of use. Strings of dried herbs hung from the ceiling beams, lavender and thyme and rosemary. On the mantelpiece above the fireplace sat a row of family photographs in silver frames, though the old couple had no children of their own, which was why the old woman poured so much love into her baking. Every cookie, every cake, every loaf of bread was made with the kind of patient attention that some people give to raising a child. The gingerbread man in the oven was her finest work yet, and as the sweet, spicy scent filled the kitchen, she leaned back in her chair and smiled contentedly.
Run, run as fast as you can. You cannot catch me. I am the gingerbread man. The old woman and the old man looked at each other in amazement, then chased after him as fast as their old legs could carry them. But the gingerbread man was quick, very quick for someone made of cookie dough, and he sprinted down the country lane with his little icing shoes pattering on the dirt path, leaving tiny gingerbread footprints behind him. He ran past the sunflower garden, past the wooden fence, past the old stone well, and into the open countryside. The old woman and the old man eventually had to stop, leaning on the fence and catching their breath. "Well, I never," puffed the old woman. "A running gingerbread man," puffed the old man. "What will happen next?" They watched the little figure grow smaller and smaller as he ran toward the golden fields beyond.
The gingerbread man ran along a path that wound through a field of tall, golden wheat. The wheat swayed gently in the autumn breeze, making a soft shushing sound like the land itself was whispering. He felt the warm sun on his gingery back and the cool air on his icing face, and he thought that running was the most wonderful thing in the whole world. Soon he came to a peaceful pasture where a large spotted cow stood chewing grass lazily. The cow looked up and saw the gingerbread man running past. Her big brown eyes widened. "Moo," she said. "What a delicious-looking cookie! Stop, little gingerbread man. I would like to eat you." But the gingerbread man just laughed and kept running. "Run, run as fast as you can. You cannot catch me. I am the gingerbread man. I ran from the old woman and the old man, and I can run from you too." The cow lumbered after him, her hooves thudding on the soft grass, but she was far too slow, and soon she gave up and went back to chewing her grass with a disappointed sigh.
The gingerbread man ran on, feeling very pleased with himself. He passed a meadow where daisies and clover grew thick, and came to a barnyard where a big, strong horse stood behind a white fence, flicking flies away with his tail. The horse saw the gingerbread man and snorted. "Nay, what a fine-looking little fellow! Come here, gingerbread man, I would like to have a nibble." But the gingerbread man did not slow down for a second. "Run, run as fast as you can. You cannot catch me. I am the gingerbread man. I ran from the old woman, the old man, and the cow, and I can run from you too." The horse jumped over the fence and galloped after him, his mane streaming in the wind. The ground shook with each powerful stride. But the gingerbread man darted through a gap in a hedge, too small for the horse to follow, and the horse had to stop, snorting with frustration. The gingerbread man waved from the other side of the hedge and ran on. On he ran, through a gap in a wooden fence and into a wide, sloping field where a flock of plump white geese were waddling in a line toward a pond. The geese saw the gingerbread man racing across their field and honked in surprise. "Honk, honk! What is that delicious smell?" cried the lead goose, a large, bossy bird with bright orange feet.
"It is a gingerbread cookie, and it is running away," honked another. The whole flock turned and waddled after the gingerbread man, as fast as their flat feet could carry them, honking and flapping their wings in a tremendous commotion. Feathers flew everywhere. The gingerbread man zigzagged through the field, laughing at the geese's ungainly waddle. "Run, run as fast as you can. You cannot catch me. I am the gingerbread man. I ran from the old woman, the old man, and the cow, and I can run from you too." The geese eventually gave up, flopping down by the edge of the pond in a tired, feathery pile. "Well, I never," huffed the lead goose. "The rudest cookie I have ever seen." The gingerbread man waved over his shoulder and kept going, his spirits higher than ever. The countryside opened up around him as he ran, and the gingerbread man marveled at everything he saw. He had only been alive for a short while, and every sight was new and astonishing. He saw a pond covered in lily pads where green frogs sat like tiny kings on their floating thrones. He saw a scarecrow standing in a vegetable patch, its straw hat tilted at a jaunty angle, looking friendly rather than frightening. He passed a stone wall covered in climbing ivy where tiny wrens hopped and chirped. He ran alongside a bubbling creek where the water tumbled over smooth pebbles and caught the light like scattered diamonds. The air was full of smells he had no names for: the sweet decay of fallen leaves, the sharpness of pine, the earthy richness of damp soil. A red-breasted robin sang from a fence post as he passed, and the gingerbread man called out to it, "What a beautiful song!" though the robin only cocked its head and flew away. Everything was wonderful, everything was exciting, and the gingerbread man felt that the world had been made especially for him to explore. He came next to a farm where a group of barn cats lounged in the afternoon sun on bales of hay. There were 5 of them, striped and spotted and fluffy, their tails curling contentedly. When they caught the scent of fresh gingerbread on the breeze, all 5 pairs of eyes snapped open. "Meow, meow," they cried, springing to their feet. "A gingerbread man! Catch him!" The cats were fast, much faster than the cow or the horse. They leaped from the hay bales and raced after the gingerbread man, their paws barely touching the ground. For a moment, they got very close. One cat swiped with its paw and just barely missed his icing bow tie. But the gingerbread man was clever. He ran in zigzags left and right, darting between fence posts and under wagons, until the cats were dizzy and confused and ended up bumping into each other in a furry heap. "Run, run as fast as you can," the gingerbread man called back, laughing. "You cannot catch me. I am the gingerbread man." The gingerbread man ran and ran until the farm was far behind him and the countryside opened up into rolling hills dotted with orange and red autumn trees. He crossed a little stone bridge over a babbling stream. He ran past a windmill whose great sails turned slowly in the breeze. He ran through a field of pumpkins, round and orange, sitting in neat rows. Everywhere he went, someone tried to catch him: a farmer in overalls, a pair of children playing in a yard, a little dog who yapped excitedly. But nobody could catch the gingerbread man. He was too fast, too quick, too nimble, and every time he would call out his proud song: "Run, run as fast as you can. You cannot catch me. I am the gingerbread man." He felt like the cleverest, fastest, most uncatchable creature in the whole wide world. The sun was getting lower in the sky, painting everything in a warm amber glow. But then the gingerbread man came to a river. It was a wide, deep, slow-moving river, its water dark and cool, reflecting the orange and pink sky of the late afternoon. The gingerbread man stopped at the edge and stared. He could not swim.
He was made of gingerbread, after all, and if he stepped into the water, he would get soggy and crumble apart. He looked left and right, but there was no bridge in sight. Behind him, he could hear the faint sounds of all the people and animals who had chased him. The old woman, the old man, the cow, the horse, the cats, and the others, all following his trail down the country lane. They were not giving up. The gingerbread man felt the first flicker of worry. He was stuck. Just then, a fox appeared from the reeds at the river's edge. He was a sleek red fox with a bushy tail and bright, clever eyes. He sat down delicately and looked at the gingerbread man with a friendly smile. "Good evening, little gingerbread man," the fox said in a smooth, pleasant voice. "You seem to have a problem. That river is very wide, and you cannot swim, can you?" The gingerbread man eyed the fox cautiously. "No, I cannot," he admitted. The fox nodded sympathetically. "Well, I can. I am an excellent swimmer. If you like, you can ride on my back, and I will carry you safely across. I have no interest in eating you, I assure you. I much prefer fish." The gingerbread man looked at the river, then back at the distant crowd chasing him, then at the fox. He was not entirely sure he trusted the fox, but he did not have many choices.
The gingerbread man crossed a little wooden bridge over a shallow stream and found himself in a village. It was a quiet, pretty place with cobblestone streets and cottages with thatched roofs. Smoke curled from chimneys, and the smell of cooking suppers drifted from open windows. A group of children were playing tag in the village square, and when they spotted the gingerbread man running down the street, they shrieked with delight. A gingerbread man! A real running gingerbread man! They chased after him, their shoes clattering on the cobblestones, their laughter ringing off the cottage walls. A little brown dog joined the chase, barking excitedly, its tongue flapping. An old man sitting on a bench looked up from his pipe and blinked in astonishment. "Well, that is something you do not see every day," he muttered. The gingerbread man weaved between the cottages, ducked under a washing line hung with white sheets, and dashed out the other side of the village, leaving the breathless children and the yapping dog far behind. "Run, run as fast as you can," he called back joyfully. The children stopped at the edge of the village and waved goodbye, still laughing. The gingerbread man waved a tiny icing hand in return.
"All right," the gingerbread man said carefully, "but no funny business." He climbed onto the fox's back, sitting between his ears, holding on tightly. The fox waded into the river and began to swim, his strong legs paddling smoothly through the cool water. The current was gentle, and the fox cut through it easily. "The water is rising," the fox said calmly as they reached the middle of the river. "You should climb onto my head so you do not get wet." The gingerbread man climbed up. "A little farther," the fox said. "The water is even deeper here. You had better sit on my nose." The gingerbread man felt uneasy, but he climbed onto the fox's nose. The fox's eyes gleamed, and then, with a quick flick of his head, the fox tossed the gingerbread man into the air, opened his mouth wide, and the gingerbread man landed right on the riverbank on the other side. Wait, what happened? Well, you see, this particular fox had been watching the whole chase from the beginning, and he had been thinking. He had seen the old woman and the old man chasing after their creation, their faces full of worry and sadness. He had seen how lovingly the old woman had baked that little gingerbread man, and the fox, though clever and sometimes tricky, had a kind heart underneath it all. So instead of eating the gingerbread man, he had tossed him safely to the other bank. "There you go, little fellow," the fox said, climbing out of the river and shaking water from his fur. The gingerbread man lay on the grass, stunned but unharmed. "You did not eat me," he said, amazed. "No," said the fox, sitting down and wrapping his bushy tail around his paws. "But I do have a question for you. Where exactly are you running to?" The gingerbread man opened his mouth to answer, and then closed it again. He realized with a strange, uncomfortable feeling that he did not know. He had been so busy running away from everyone that he had never thought about where he was running to. I do not know," he admitted. The fox nodded thoughtfully. "Running is fun," the fox said. "I run too, through the fields and the forest. But the best part of any run is having a warm, safe place to come home to at the end. Do you have a home, little gingerbread man?" The gingerbread man thought about the warm kitchen, the old woman who had made him with such care, the old man who had smiled at him. He thought about the raisin eyes she had given him, the sugar smile, the little iced buttons. She had not wanted to eat him. She had created him with love, and he had run away without even saying thank you. The gingerbread man felt something he had not felt before, a soft, warm ache in the middle of his gingery chest. "I think I would like to go home," he said quietly. The fox smiled. "Then you had better start walking. It is a long way back, and the sun is setting." The gingerbread man stood up on his little icing feet, brushed the grass from his buttons, and began the long walk back the way he had come. But this time he did not run. He walked slowly, taking in the beauty around him, the amber sunset, the fields of pumpkins glowing orange, the windmill turning lazily against the painted sky. He crossed the little stone bridge and waved to the cats on the hay bales, who were too sleepy now to chase him. He passed the horse, who nodded politely, and the cow, who mooed a gentle greeting. By the time the gingerbread man reached the old woman's farmhouse, the stars were just beginning to appear, tiny silver dots in the deep blue sky. The red front door was open, and warm light spilled out into the garden. He could smell something wonderful. The old woman had been baking again. He walked up to the door and peeked inside. The old woman and the old man were sitting at their kitchen table, looking a bit sad. "I do wish our gingerbread man had not run away," the old woman sighed. "I made him with such care." "I know, dear," the old man said, patting her hand, "but perhaps he needed to see the world." The gingerbread man took a deep breath and stepped into the warm golden light of the kitchen doorway. "Hello," he said softly. "I came back." The fox walked with the gingerbread man for a while along the riverbank, keeping a companionable pace. The sky above them was deepening from orange to rose, and the first evening star had appeared, bright and steady, just above the tree line. "You know," the fox said thoughtfully, his bushy tail swaying gently as he walked, "I spend my life running, too. I run from the farmers and their dogs. I run through the fields and the forest. I am very good at running. But the thing I love most is not the running. It is the coming home." He pointed with his nose toward a thicket of hawthorn bushes at the edge of the meadow. "My den is just through there," he said. "It is not much, a hole in the earth really, but it is warm and dry, and it is mine. My kits are in there right now, curled up and waiting for me." The fox looked at the gingerbread man with his bright, clever eyes. "Everyone needs a place to come home to, little fellow, even a gingerbread man." The gingerbread man nodded slowly, feeling the truth of those words settle into his gingery middle like a warm ember. "Thank you, Fox," he said. "You are kinder than I expected." The fox grinned. "Do not tell anyone," he said, and with a flick of his tail he disappeared into the hawthorn thicket.
The gingerbread man walked on alone as the evening deepened around him. The sky turned from rose to deep violet, and stars appeared one by one like tiny lanterns being lit across a vast, dark ceiling. The air grew cooler, carrying the scent of wood smoke from distant chimneys and the faint sweetness of night-blooming flowers. He walked past the sleeping village where warm squares of lamplight glowed from cottage windows, and a cat watched him silently from a doorstep. He walked past the farm where the cats slept on their hay bales, their sides rising and falling gently. He walked past the meadow where the horse stood still as a statue in the moonlight, and past the pasture where the cow lay in the grass, chewing contentedly. None of them chased him now. The world had grown quiet and gentle, settling into its nighttime rhythm. The gingerbread man walked slowly, no longer in any hurry. For the first time since he had sprung from the oven that afternoon, he was not running. He was walking home. And with each step, the ache in his gingery chest grew warmer and sweeter, pulling him forward like a compass pointing true north. The old woman's face lit up like the sun coming out from behind a cloud. "Our gingerbread man," she cried, clasping her hands together. "You came home." The old man chuckled warmly. "Welcome back, little fellow. Did you have a good adventure?" The gingerbread man nodded. "I ran very far and very fast," he said. "I outran the cow, the horse, the cats, and everyone else. But then I realized that running is no fun if you do not have a home to come back to." The old woman gently picked him up and set him on the warm kitchen counter right next to a fresh plate of gingerbread cookies she had just baked, a whole family of them, gingerbread women, gingerbread children, gingerbread dogs and cats. "I made you a family," the old woman said with a gentle smile, "so you would never feel alone." The gingerbread man looked at his new gingerbread family, each one decorated with care, with raisin eyes and sugar smiles and tiny iced details, and his little gingery heart felt full to bursting. "Thank you," he whispered. From that day on, the gingerbread man lived happily in the cozy farmhouse. He stood on the kitchen windowsill where he could watch the sunflowers nod in the garden and the seasons change across the countryside. He watched the snow fall in winter, the flowers bloom in spring, the butterflies dance in summer, and the leaves turn golden in autumn. And sometimes, on warm evenings, the old woman would carry him outside and set him on the garden fence, and he would watch the sunset paint the sky in colors he had no names for, and he would feel grateful for his home, his family, and the adventure that had taught him where he truly belonged. Now the farmhouse is quiet. The baking is done for the day. The old woman has banked the fire in the oven, and the kitchen is warm and full of the lingering scent of ginger and cinnamon. The old man has turned off the lamp. The gingerbread man stands on his windowsill, looking out at the night. The stars are out, thousands of them, scattered across the dark sky like powdered sugar on a sheet of dark velvet. A cricket chirps softly in the garden. The sunflowers have closed their petals until morning. Everything is still and peaceful and exactly as it should be.
And the gingerbread man, with his raisin eyes and his sugar smile, looks out at the gentle night and feels perfectly, completely happy. Good night, dear child, from GoReadling. Close your eyes and dream of warm kitchens and sweet adventures. Sleep well.
On sunny afternoons, the old woman would take the gingerbread man and his gingerbread family outside and arrange them carefully on a soft cloth in the garden. The sunflowers would lean toward them as if to say hello. Bees would buzz past, drawn by the sweet, gingery scent, but never landing. The gingerbread man liked to watch the world from the garden. He saw the swallows swooping low over the meadow in summer. He watched the harvest moon rise enormous and orange in September. He felt the first cool breezes of autumn and smelled the bonfires that the neighbors lit to celebrate the season. In winter, the old woman brought him inside to the warm kitchen and set him by the window where he could watch the snow fall. Every flake was different, she told him once, just like every person and every gingerbread cookie. The gingerbread man thought about his great adventure, about the cow and the horse and the geese and the cats and the children and the fox. He thought about how he had run and run, thinking freedom meant never stopping. But now he knew that the truest freedom was choosing where you wanted to be and being happy there. And he was. He was truly, perfectly happy.
And that is the end of our story. Thank you for listening to GoReadling Bedtime Stories. Visit GoReadling.com for more stories, reading adventures, and fun learning for kids. Sweet dreams, little one. Good night.